is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? I'm back with another video. I know y'all been missing me, but let's knock out the Sacramento Kings in my rebuilding series. I want to tell you how I feel about this Kings team. This was a team that last year caught a lot of people off by surprise with how they started the season and how they was in the race for the playoffs last year. Very interesting team, having bigs and the Marvin Bagleys and the Steins and the Giles and even Scowl, and having De'Aaron Fox, having Buddy Hield, Bogdanovich, Harrison Barnes. They had a decent, solid starting lineup. I didn't really go crazy over them. I didn't pick them to make it to the playoffs, even though they was there and barely, missed it by not being able to close games, not being able to stay focused for a whole 48 minutes and execute and play great quality basketball for a whole 48 minutes. And they're a young team. They have to learn how to win. They have to go through the pain. And they have, because this is one of those seasons that we didn't really know what to expect from the Sacramento Kings. Will they make it to the playoffs? They brought some veterans in the offseason to fill some positions to get more depth. And they brought in Luke Walton, who is a coach that people feel like can be something special and can really relate to a lot of these guys, and has won championships with the Kobe's, with the Kerrs, and has even coached other great players like the Draymonds, the Clay, the KDs, and the Stephs when he was in Golden State. So you would think that he would be able to have a new experience, a new mindset. And even though his team with the Lakers wasn't the greatest, they, you know, still was entertaining. And even though he changed the way this team plays and changed their styles, a lot of people forget about injuries. Big Bagley missed majority of the season. Fox was out early. Buddy Hield was on the bench. He was starting. They had a lot of things they had to figure out. At one point, they was in the playoffs this season. It didn't last that long. And then they just kind of teetered off and became irrelevant and just couldn't, get up to that level that they was playing at, in the beginning in 20 games into the season. And it happens, especially when you don't have your main players available and you have a new coach trying to implement a new style, a new system. Is nothing that you can really do but grow and learn. So this is a season that they had to take on the head. They're technically in the playoff race, even though the season is over. But if the season was still going, they technically do have a shot at making the playoffs. They wasn't mathematically eliminated. But let's look past all that. They look like they're going to get a lottery pick potentially. We don't know exactly where. And that could be a good boost to this team, just because anytime you can find a solid player, which this draft has lots of them in the range that they're in, that's always a good addition. The problem to me with the Kings is when they lock up Fox, they locked up Hield, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Bagley. And that's going to be the biggest thing with this team. You draft a guy number 2 over Doncic and guys like that. And even though Bagley was a beast in high school, he showed what he can do in college. He's a guy with good upside, the mobility, the athleticism, the size, and the length. But I always say he doesn't look like that number 1 option type of guy. And for you to take him number 2, that's what you're expecting him to be, an all-star level guy. And this year was a huge disappointment, even when he was on the court. So he's going to be an interesting part, just because we're going to have to figure out how they're going to utilize him while still relying on their backcourt to do the bulk of the scoring. Harrison Barnes has been a decent player for them. He hasn't been overrated, underrated. He's just been solid for them, being a good defender, being a guy that can get his own shot from time to time and knock down some spot up and corner threes. Plus, he knows how to win, and he knows how to defend multiple positions. But when you look at the fact that this team throughout this season only won 28 games, you look at this team that have Bazemore, who's going to come off the books. You look at Yogi, who hasn't really made a huge contribution. You look at Rashawn Holmes, who was a steal and has been one of the underrated players, and one of the big reasons why they was able to have their surge this year is because he stepped in and stepped up and produced. Justin Jackson has been solid, but they need him to do a little bit more in the future, but he hasn't really done much right now. Corey Joseph was overpaid for them, $12 million for a veteran with championship potential and can bring a defensive edge and knock down some shots. He didn't live up to that hype. Alex Lynn came in for basically nothing, gives them size, and they had some injuries, like I said, in the front court. He was productive. And Big Bari, Jabari Parker, 25 years old, a guy that's mostly known for getting you a bucket, being able to play that forward position and give you some quickness and some speed at that position, as he's really a three, but he cannot guard the three, so they play him at the four. So this team isn't as ugly and as bad as a lot of teams, but then again, that's why they're not picking within the top 10, possibly just because this team is almost there. The biggest problem, like I said, with Bagley is how good can this team really be? When I look at the fact that they have been a borderline playoff team at best, and even though they are young and they are developing, I don't really see this team, honestly, the way they are constructed, being a legitimate championship team. I know people are not going to like that, but it's true. You look at Fox, we don't really know what Fox is going to be. He looks like an all-star caliber player at best. Is he a superstar caliber player? I don't see that. Same with Buddy Hield. He's pretty much is what he's going to be, a guy that can get you a bucket, a guy that can be a sharpshooter, but not the greatest scorer when it comes to dominant. But he can have those games where he explode. He can have those shots that you can be punished if you leave him open. But he's going to round out about a 20-point score, and he has done that. And I don't really see him eclipsing that right in his career. And then you look at the rest of the roster, they have some solid role players that you rather have than don't, but they had to pay a little bit more just because they're Sacramento, and they did that. But this team, even if healthy, is just a 7 or 8 seed at best. That's the biggest problem that I have with the Kings is even if Bagley is healthy and even if Fox is healthy, you're looking at a team that ceiling is probably just a first round exit. And that's the type of team they have built right now. And I know that you rather have that than nothing. Some organizations love to make it to the playoffs. This is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs so long that they just want to get to that point. But they're far away from being a championship contender, and I doubt with this current nucleus they ever will be. You're looking at guys that have to exceed their expectations by double just for this team to be in the title contention. When you look at the Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies, who has been beat up too this year, then you still have the teams like Golden State that was beat up this year. That's another team that could have been in the playoffs if healthy. You look at the fact that you still do have Luka, who still has chances to get better, and Porzingis to build their chemistry. The Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Lakers. This team isn't an NBA playoff team, and I don't really see them becoming a legitimate threat in the West. And that's what you want to build up this team as the next big thing, the team that's coming. And I honestly and truthfully don't see that just because of the talent they have on board. And the unfortunate part about that is there's no real big free agent in 2020 that can change that. There's no superstar player right now that can change that that's available. And even if you look at it from a perspective from the draft, you're not drafting within that top five. You're not really getting a guy that can change your franchise in this particular draft. Now, one thing I always say about this draft, you have a lot of guys that can contribute. You have a lot of guys that can become role players. And I can see the Kings getting a couple of those players in this draft and becoming more deeper and becoming more, dynamic and potent, especially on the offensive end. But when I look at their main nucleus, they're not winning anything. And even if they do make it to the playoffs, like I said, they're going to be a first round exit. I'm going to be interested. I'm going to keep track of this team because I do like Fox. I do like Hill. I don't have a problem with Luke Walton, even though some people do. I'm not the biggest Big Bagley fan, but he's still an interesting prospect to see where he's going to cap out at. But the Kings have got some young talent. They have got some veterans. They have got some experience. They have grown. They have played better together. They're a team that had an ideal and a style and identity last year, and they're reconstructing their image already a season later. And honestly and truthfully, I really want to see how far this team can go. We remember at least that Weber team was a legitimate contender. I don't see this with this nucleus. They're just not good enough, and they're not defensive first players. And that's something that you're going to have to do if you want to be known as a serious team in the Western Conference when it's so deep and you still have a lot of young teams that's either on the same level or one piece away from either being better than you or taking your spot in the playoffs. And like I said, if you really look at it, Golden State getting Clay back, adding Andrew Wiggins with Steph coming back fully healthy next year, they can take one of those top 8 spots, which means less room for the Kings. But the other teams are going to be fighting the Kings just like every other team to get one of those 8 spots. And the Kings just don't have enough. And I really don't see a way currently for them to get better and get to that next level of becoming a legitimate playoff team. They was close last year. They missed that opportunity. I feel like they had a chance this year, but I really didn't count on them to do it. And now that I've seen them play and I have seen what they have become, they're better now than they was 3, 4 years ago. They have more, promising players than they had 3, 4 years ago. But they're in the DeMarcus Cousins stage where you have a good team, you have an okay team, but it's just not enough in the Western Conference, and it's unfortunate. But they did what they could do. It's not over. They still got some maneuvering they can do. They still do have time, as a lot of these guys are not even 25 years old. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying they'll never make it to the playoffs ever. I'm not saying they can fix it, but as the team is currently constructed, I really don't see them being a threat in the playoffs, even if they do make it. But in the future, we have to see the decisions and the moves that they make to get this team to a higher level, to get this team to a higher ceiling. But they're going to need a lot out of Fox and a lot out of Bagley to really turn this team into something special. And that's why I made a big deal out of Bagley, because that's a top 2 pick. You can get you a franchise player within that top 2, usually in the draft, if you do it right. And that's going to be the question: can Bagley become that guy? I'm not saying that he won't. I'm not saying that Fox won't, but that's what they're going to have to do if they want to jump these other teams and also compete with the teams like the Denver, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Lakers, to be a legitimate championship team in the Western Conference, let alone win the NBA Finals championship. And that is just my opinion of they're not there yet. And then again, I really don't see this team being a legitimate threat as currently constructed and with the players that's currently on a roster. And I really don't see a free agent or somebody in this draft that can change that, even if they trade up or get lucky. These guys in this draft are years away, which isn't a bad thing because they're so young and they're teenagers and they're not even 21. They can grow with these guys, but that's still years down the line, and we don't know what they're going to become, or even if the fits, and we don't know if it's going to work out anyway. But this team is getting to the point where they're starting to pay people like Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield, and they're going to have to pay Fox, and they potentially going to have to pay Big Bagley. And if that's your nucleus and that's your core, I'm not too excited about that. But also, we still have to give them the benefit of the doubt and a chance to show their worth and a chance to show their game and that show their ability to build with each other and go through that pain. And we'll see what time will tell what this team will be 2 to 3 years from now. Will they become contenders? Will they make it to the playoffs? Or will they just be a team that's okay? Like we've seen with the DeMarcus Cousins Kings. They was always okay, but they was never great or elite. And they ended up blowing that up. What will happen with this core? I do not know, but it will be interesting and something to watch. I'm back. made a video for y'all today. If you like it, like the video. If you didn't like it, please check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment below. If you like videos like this, I make them every day. I also do make breakdowns of players, legends, and rookies. I cover the draft, as you see. Cover free agency, trade deadlines. I cover the season. I also cover playoffs and to make predictions. So if you love basketball, you need that knowledge every single day. This is the channel for you. And if you like this video, check out my older videos. And if you like this video and you like my older videos, subscribe and become part of the family. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone. Sorry for the smoky effects. But other than that, I still got the video out for y'all today. I missed a couple days, but I'm back for y'all. And at the end of the day, I'm gone. Enjoy the rest of y'all day.